Hello, hello. Welcome to the Confidence Cure podcast. Today I have another amazing guest called Plamen. He has come on to speak about his story and he has so much inspiration of how he has turned his life around. So, hello, how are you?
Hey Louise, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
No, I'm so happy to have you here. So obviously, I asked you to come on as a guest because I've known you for a little bit of time now. We met in London last year, wasn't it? And your story is literally so inspiring to so many people. How you've managed to overcome so many internal things to get what you've got where you are now, and you help a lot of people do it now. So, do you want to explain a little bit about yourself, or where you started from, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, thank you for the amazing introduction. And yeah, it was really cool kind of meeting and connecting in London for an event. Um, in terms of my story, and it's an interesting one because we spoke a little bit before recording. Like, I jump on a lot of the podcast, and a lot of the stuff is very like tactical and very like sales and like what to post, how to do it. And like I think that's kind of how my brain works a lot of the time. It's like very kind of like do this now kind of thing. Like that's kind of how I think a lot. So I'm really looking forward to just diving deeper into the kind of the back end stuff. So it'll be an interesting conversation in terms of like where I started, how things have looked. I'm sure we'll go like deeper into this. But I think for me, a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the motivation, a lot of the stuff I've kind of achieved from where I'm at now, just kind of a big bird's eye view on everything. I was an immigrant, so I was a Bulgarian immigrant that moved to England when I was 7, so I didn't like speak any English. Like when I first moved, like the first I moved in I did my first year in English school at like year 4. So from year 4 to probably year 5 or year 6, I didn't really speak much English at all. So I just kind of like hovered around and figured stuff out.
What was
Um,
that like? I bet that was hard making friends and
yeah, certainly. I feel like, to be honest, I've probably like stayed to myself and in my own kind of bubble in my own world for like a large part of my time growing up. And I think that's where like with hindsight, I think because I was to myself a lot in that period, I think that's what got me to be kind of more thinking, like more creative thinking and more just entertaining myself and thinking outside the box. And I think like that's kind of how now I see like business and content and social media. It's like what I used to do playing as a kid kind of thing.
you can do the same thing. What was it like at home? Was like, do you got brothers and sisters? How was it? Did they all go through the same? Like, how was it? Like,
Yeah, I have a younger brother, so like the gap between me and my brother's 5 years. We moved when I was 7. He was 2 at the time, so again, I might be wrong. He might say something differently, but with hindsight, I think for him it was more easier because he pretty much was kind of near enough born there. Like the first year of school, he went straight into in England, and he's probably wouldn't mind me saying that, but he's more fluent in English than Bulgarian, I'd say at this point. So he I think he kind of cracked on like quite well. I think maybe the first year or so was a bit challenging for him in school, and then after that, I think he was fine.
okay, is that the he was in London, wasn't he? Your brother.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, so going from that then, so like obviously you can't speak English, you're not making friends or anything like that. How did that like make you feel? Like, is there something wrong with me? How did you actually learn English? Like, how did you move forward and actually get through your exams, number one, if you didn't even know the language? How did you manage it?
Yeah, I I I can't like it's a weird one. Like there's a few things that like quite blurry from like childhood, to be completely honest, in terms of like um the exact things. Like there's certain kind of pictures and memories that are super clear. I think the one thing is like from year 4 to maybe year 5, year 6, like I remember it being like super relaxed. And again, I might be wrong in this, but I remember it being super relaxed. Like people, as long as you were kind of there for the most part, like there was no real exams from what I remember. And then by the time like it started getting serious, like year 7, year 8 onwards, like for like GCSEs and stuff like that, that's when I kind of switched on and I could speak English and I was doing quite well. So I think I started like maybe with hindsight, I think I started being fairly fluent in English probably by like year six, year seven, and that's when I actually needed it. So I think the first 4 years were probably like me learning English and figuring stuff out. And I don't know. I think with that as well, I think it was just that kind of like that thing of just not really having a choice but to figure it out as well. Like I think that also helped kind of from a mindset perspective. I didn't really have too much of a choice. I had to kind of figure it out. I also saw like the quality of life that my mom, my dad had like improved drastically. Like Bulgaria is still top, I think fourth poorest country in like Europe. So like it's even then it was like back then it was even worse. Like my dad was working like 16-hour days and like as a chef in the beach resorts and stuff like that, like going from that to kind of working a more kind of normal schedule and more normal kind of like routine and stuff. Also I just saw them be happier, so I was like, it's I'll just kind of man up, I guess, and stick with it.
For family life as well. So my ex-husband, I don't know if you know this, my ex-husband was from Mauritius, and he said, so like very similar to yourself, he moved over and he didn't know that much English, and he was like, I remember him telling me how like what the kids were saying to him and how horrible they were. He used to get called lots of names, like he didn't understand. Like obviously your school in Bulgaria would have been very different to the ones in England. Did you get a lot of bullying, or did anyone like pick on you because you couldn't speak the English, or you wasn't used to like the way that we do things in England? How were the other kids like reacting with you?
Yeah, I honestly I honestly can't tell you, to be honest. It's a weird one. Like I can't really remember anything like super traumatic, but then at the same time I can't piece together too much. And again, I've done some therapy like 2 years ago, and some counseling and stuff like that. Maybe there's stuff that I still need to work on, but I can't remember like too much of like every day was like, what traditional days. Like there's little stories I remember. I remember like um I think it's like, and I just remember kind of thinking it's probably the norm. It's probably what happens to everyone. I remember like being punched one time in in school, like just walking by, not really knowing the person, just being punched in the stomach. And I just kind of like didn't like contextualize that too much. I didn't think, I was like, okay, it's just the norm, it's what happens to everyone. I think that's kind of how I went through school, to be honest. There's stuff like that. I think there was like little things like with hindsight, I also that I remember, by the way, Louise, is like not wanting to go to school like certain days and time, like so, like one day or time I didn't want to go to school. It's funny because I remember this story literally speaking to my partner, like my girlfriend, not too long ago. Like, I remember not wanting to go to school one day, my mum being Bulgarian, being quite like hardcore with stuff. She was like, okay, no problem. So she just went and told the teacher like exactly what I told her. And then the next day the teacher was like, no one's allowed to go to lunch. You need to make friends with Plamen. So I think that I think that in the hindsight didn't kind of help my odds of fitting in.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. So, like, moving on from that, then, like, obviously that might have had a little bit of an impact. But then as you've grown older, you've got into fitness, and you, like you said, that you struggle with confidence, like getting PT clients and different things like that. Do you want to explain a little bit what got you into like the fitness industry? How did you feel?
Yeah, certainly. So like what got me in fitness, again, very similar, like so from the age of like literally, so this is like age 7, all the way up until I'd say I was maybe 14 to 15. I honestly had like nowhere that I really fitted in. I probably, like hand on heart, would say I didn't really have any friends in that time, like really close friends. I didn't really kind of connect with anyone like properly during that time. And I think it was just pure luck. By the age of like 14, 15, I kind of fell into the self-development world and like kind of that motive, like the really motivational guys on YouTube, like that kind of content. I really fell into that like at age maybe 14, 15. Then I got into I think I got into the gym first. So I just got into my local gym. I think that was like you could now I think you can join from like 12, 13 years old. So you could like you can join really young. I was like maybe 14, 15. And I really like fell in love with that kind of community. Like the manager there was like a guy in his late 60s, like his name was like Chris. It was like a leisure center, like old, like lots of old people there training and stuff like that. I just really felt like had a kind of community in a sense to like belong and people that I could kind of make friends with in that gym. And I think that's like what I never had. And that opened my eyes to like to that side of things. And I just got into training just purely as a, I think, as a byproduct from that. And then I just started kind of going from that, like 2 3 years worth of training in that gym. I then got a job there as a fitness instructor. Like I think I just turned 18 or I was 17, like got around somehow getting a job or like super young in that gym. And that's kind of where I started to feel like that sense of like belonging and community, and the gym came from a place of like not having somewhere to belong. And I think that's what kind of really fueled that motivation.
Completely resonate with that. As you know, like when things go bad, the gym is always there. And like you know a bit of my story. I literally love the gym. I don't know what I'd do without it. So from then, was you like completely forgot like absolutely everything from childhood? You was happy, English was on point. Was everything smooth for going from there?
Yeah, I think so. So I think like there's still like stuff that I'm like there's always going to be stuff I'm working on and stuff I'm trying to be better with. I think it was better. I think the one thing I kind of took from that point on, from like 18 19, was like this big energy of wanting to prove people wrong. And I didn't realize kind of little very later where it came from. Like I really wanted to prove people wrong, because to this point, like all my life, I think I kind of looked at my story and I looked at my, even my surname, like my family surname, and I think it was like very much like, to me it felt like it wasn't like to the same level as like the people I was with at school. And like I was always kind of told like I would do well to just stay out of trouble and not really like do much. And I think that kind of energy, like for the first time when I was in the gym, I could kind of find some way to channel this energy. And I was like, okay, if I just work like extremely hard, I could probably find a way to prove people wrong. And I think it was just, there was so much of that in the earlier years, like from probably say when I kind of fell into like the gym and that kind of path. I think from 16 onwards, like 16 17 onwards, I was like, I finally see it. And that's when like Instagram was coming up and you can see like people doing well and you can see like people making money online and like building businesses and stuff like that. And I think from that point on, I was like, okay, there's a clear pathway here that if I do this, I would like, I'll stay out of trouble, but I can also massively prove people wrong. And I think it was that to an extent. I think it was that kind of energy of like, I really want to prove these people, like these kids wrong, um these kids wrong, the teachers wrong, like everyone that kind of doubted me up until this point. Like I really wanted to prove them wrong. So it wasn't like a healthy obsession.
Yeah, so I bet that was like a lot for everybody surrounding you, telling you you're not going to make anything of yourself. Like, how did you feel like that? Like, did you actually believe them at one point?
I think like I couldn't, like, it's a weird one. Like when I was super young, when I was being told like I wouldn't really make it, like, or like I'll never be as good as the people that were born in England. Like I'd always felt like my place wasn't in England, and it's a weird one because I then went on to travel and try and find my place and stuff like that. But I never felt like it felt like I can stay in England for like the next 20 years or 40 years, buy a house and stuff like that. But I'll never be quite as good as the kids that were like in like native English. And I think that's kind of where it came from. In terms of like what it felt like at the time, I think it was just that it was like a lot of like working super hard, burning out, taking some time off, and then just going again and just doing that for like probably like 5 6 years of just pushing it. I remember like I'd be like running on the treadmill and I'd just like think like whatever I was doing, I was always like I'll give it like 110% just because I didn't want, and I still don't want my future children to go through like the the childhood I had, I guess.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So you've literally gone from coming here, not being able to speak English, to now you're very successful now. What is it that you do now?
Yeah, it's evolved and it's pivoted a lot over the years, but the biggest thing now is just helping coaches, business owners with their content, with their social media, with their sales, with their lead generation, so they can make money with their business online. It's be the simplest way to put it down.
And you're very confident at it. You're very good at it. You're speaking a lot on it. You constantly, what's the word, consistent with it, and you help and you show other people how to do it. So how have you got from not being able to speak a word of English, having no confidence with it, being in your own bubble, to actually showing and leading the way in that area?
Yeah, I think like how I've gotten confident with it, I think like the one thing that's actually helped me is seeing other people do it as well. Like I like I struggled with it like maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago when I was like first putting myself out there. And I was told like this a lot. I was told I need to put myself out there more. I need to do this and I need to do more. And I really kind of held myself back for a long time because like I'm too young or I don't really know that much. And then I started seeing more people that were like younger than me, or I started seeing people that are doing really well within this space at the same age as me, or even if they're a little bit older. It's like if they can do it, I can probably kind of just do a little bit. I can just do like one post a day, or I can just have some conversations. And I think that's massively helped me. The other thing as well is like proof of concept. Like I think just reminding yourself of the stuff you've done can also be a big thing to help. And then like one thing I never kind of really touched on in this conversation, which potentially comes like hand in hand, is like I I felt quite lost like during the kind of initial bit of building this business. Like when I first started like doing well, I was like, okay, I feel kind of like I'm doing well, but I could still fall into old habits. Um, that was probably when I was like maybe 19, 20 or so. And then um I was like, okay, I need to move out. I need to kind of go out and do these things. So out of all the places in the world I could move, I moved to like Bucharest, Romania for like a while, for like 9 months, like in a completely different country. I didn't speak the language. I stayed there for 8 to 9 months. And the one thing that did for me personally was it just kind of really made me be a different person. Like I couldn't, because I wasn't living with my parents. I had to be financially responsible to find ways to pay rent. I needed to drive the business forward. And I just spent that time just completely locked in, just working like probably way too much. It's probably some of the most focused work I've ever done, because I was like waking up, going to a coffee shop, doing like 5 hours, taking a lunch break, and then going again for 5 hours. And that was basically my life for like 8 months. Um, but what it did for me was like it kind of just got me kind of thinking differently, got me thinking, okay, how can I be a completely different person to what who I was before this point? Because up until this point, I kind of felt like I failed a lot of the stuff. I was kind of trying to build this and I really wanted to grow it. And that just made me kind of think differently, think bigger. And then I think the last point on that as well, in terms of the confidence side of things as well, one thing that's really personally helped me, and I think my life could have potentially gone very differently if it wasn't. But it was my grandma. Like it was my grandma growing up. Like the conversations I would have with her as a child, and like the stuff she I guess like taught me growing up. Like I carry these conversations, especially like those parts where like I was on my own a lot of the time and I was kind of working hard. I was like, okay, like how can I still be a really good person? How can I still have these kind of connections and this human touch and like really treat people how I'd want to be treated? And I think that kind of thing of like that almost unconditional love from her, I was like, okay, um, you know, how can I guess, like, even if I fail, it's not the end of the world, because like I'm doing it in the right way. So I think it's that kind of that thing. I think it can go such a long way just having one person that truly believes in you or believed in you.
No, massively. So basically, when you're saying you was trying to be a different person, so you went away for a bit. Do you think you was a different person, or do you think you just turned into the person you was meant to be when you went away?
Yeah. I think it was that. Like I think it was like I probably turned into a different person. I tried to be honest. I think it was like I tried to model people. It's like, oh, I like this guy, how this guy does this. I like how this guy does this, but it's probably like me all along.
You just being your authentic. You found
Yeah.
yourself. Now you've just turned into your authentic self. So you found who you are basically. You did mention something. So you was trying. So at that point before you moved away, you said you was worried that you was going to get back into your bad habits. What were your bad habits?
Yeah. So I think bad habits, I think it was just more like I didn't want to lose the progress I made. So like it felt like I would be at home and I would be getting into like not necessarily arguments, but I would not, yeah, I would maybe be getting into arguments a little bit with my parents. I think that was the one that kind of hurt me because they'd have a like a certain way of doing things. And like now I've realized because I've lived out and I've moved out for nearly for like maybe 4 years for sure, like definitely 2 to 3 years. And I think I realize it now and I have this appreciation much more. But I think back then I didn't really have that. And I think like they would have a certain way of doing things, or like I would maybe sleep in one day and then they would go to work at like 10 a.m. and I'd still be sleeping and that kind of stuff. Like I'd feel really bad for doing. And I think like that kind of arguments and that kind of thing of like trying to prove them wrong also didn't help and didn't serve me.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it was those kind of stuff, like those arguments, like small arguments, I guess, like they probably wouldn't even look at it as an argument, but for me, it was like I just wanted to make them proud, I guess. And I think that was the one thing that going away did for me. Other bad habits, I think it was just more like simple things like probably most people do, like drinking. Potentially, like I use drinking to be fair, and I struggled with drinking a little bit in the sense of like using it as a way to switch off and kind of I guess switch off and just kind of unwind from like stress and stuff like that, unwind from stress, anxiety, and that was the other one as well, which to be fair carried over a little bit into Bucharest as well.
No, no, that sounds good. But do you know, like when you said with your parents, they were you felt bad because you were sleeping in. Did they ever tell you like you can't do that or anything like that, or did you start the
Yeah.
argument a bit?
Yeah, it was all me. Like it was all me. Like it was like I was probably working, like I was definitely working a lot and they never would have said anything. Like it would be like, oh, it's like super burnt out for a week. And then that's when I'd be sleeping in and there we going to work. And with my dad, like the one thing that growing out around like my dad did for me is like I saw him work like 16-hour days and pretty much my whole life. So I think that kind of thing of like that work ethic was just something I was like, okay, I can't really slack off
Yeah.
at all. And because it was like internet money and it's like online businesses and stuff like that, they didn't really get that, to be honest. Um, and even when like I started making some money, it was just so hard to explain to them where the money came from and like how, like that it was totally legal and I was actually helping people and stuff like that. I think was the other the other side of the
What were
confusion.
what were they thinking? Like were they thinking it was like some illegal money from?
Yeah, I think that they never they just didn't think like how can someone help someone online, like how why would someone pay you for like a coaching program, or why would someone pay you like for something online? Like it didn't really kind of make any sense like to them. I think it was just that. um and I think it was just more like they just thought I was kind of wasting my life to an extent. That's kind of how I felt, like that's kind of how I interpreted it when I was 18. Like how people play video games and they don't really do anything with their life. I think that's kind of what they were worried I'm kind of falling into.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But like I did have a question now, but it's just gone. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so where's the question gone? I had a really good question and I've completely forgotten. Oh yeah, that's the one. So obviously, because you was the elder brother as well, and obviously you was like the kind of the role model for him, like, and then you've watched your dad do this. Do you think that you kind of put like a lot of pressure on yourself? Like you've just seen that way and you think I've got to do that and better because you've got to like step up as such.
Yeah, I think to an extent, I think I've always put more pressure. Like I've always put more pressure than like with everything. I like with, and I'm probably the same now, to be fair. So I'm probably like still doing that. But with hindsight, I've always put more pressure than anyone else has ever put on me, if I'm honest, which is an interesting conversation because I think even like with paying clients, I'm always like I need to like physically over deliver as much as possible. Like I know what it's like to not have money and like put like whatever money you have into something. So I know like I know that side of things for my dad, for my mum. With my brother, I would say, I don't know, it's an interesting one. I think we've never been super, super close, to be honest. And I don't know if how it came across in London, but we've never been like super, super close in terms of like um relationships. But I think I always knew in the back, I always known in the back of my head, it's like down to me to make stuff work. And I don't want people to rely on me. I think it might go a bit deep, the conversation, but I think the one conversation actually, and the one topic that changed a lot for me was the story with my grandma. I don't know if I've ever spoken about it like publicly on a podcast. Um, from a money perspective, so this was maybe when I was like 18, 19, around like let's say 18, I can't remember exactly, around COVID time. Like she was like she had like dementia, I guess. Like she had like dementia, stuff like that. And she was in a nursing home here in Bulgaria because we were abroad. And then she ended up passing away somewhere around that time, around that COVID time. So I couldn't really go back to visit her. I couldn't really go back to do much. And I think that's the one conversation, that's the one story that I was like, okay, I need to get my life in order because like realistically, like however much people can disagree with this, like money can actually like solve a lot of problems and can solve a lot of pain. And I think that's the one conversation I was like, okay, I'll work as hard as it takes to like, because like realistically it might be wrong, like with therapy and stuff, like I was always told it's not the right outlook, but it's like, you know, if you had more money you could always find a way to fly in, you could always find a way for better care, you could always kind of have these questions covered. And from that point on I was like, I don't want that to ever be I don't want money ever to be a problem. And I always knew that. I think my whole life to this point has always been like money has caused
Yeah.
so much pain, how can I not have the pain? It's been that pursuit of money, I think.
People, you see like a lot of people are scared to talk about money, or they feel selfish to say, yeah, I want a bit of money, or like there's this massive, I don't know what the actual word is. There's this thing where people do feel selfish for saying that they actually want money. But for me, obviously, it's not the everything, but it gives you so much. It gives you freedom. You don't have to worry about things if like health, you can do it. So it does actually help so many things. So the fact that I do want money, I'm not afraid to say that because I know how much it can help. Like I spoke to you before, haven't I? I'm just like, oh my God, like it's just stressing me out. But it's like if you have money, you don't get stressed out about it. So a lot of people that don't have money, they're scared to say that they want money, but they also don't like being stressed by it. So if people are like listening and they're thinking, I do actually want more money and they're scared to say it, what would you say to them? Because I say this to a lot of my clients as well. There's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, I want more money. Like, I want to be rich. I want this. But having an obscene amount, a goal, obscene, is okay.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I was definitely that kind of person as well. Like, and I still probably am to an extent, but I think for me, it's like money to me is more about like, I guess it's about others. For me, the way I always contextualize it is always about helping others more and
Mm.
helping people do better. I had a really good mentor say this to me a while back. He said something along the lines of like, money is just a reflection of how much value you provide to the world. And again, it's relative. Like it's not always true, but like if you help a lot of people and they pay you a little bit of money, you probably still make a lot of money because you've helped a lot of people. If you help someone a lot and they'll pay you relative to that, how much you've helped them, relatively speaking. So I think like how much you can help people is also that. So I think it's like if you help people a lot and you're a really good coach, you're really good within a business, like if you're really good at what you do, you probably help a lot of people and you make money off about as a byproduct. But for me, what's it's always helped is making it about others than not just me. Like you might disagree on this, Louise, but for me, it's always been like, okay, if I have this thing of like I need to help, for example, my mum or my dad, and I'm working towards this goal so they can have stability and safety, or my brother or my girlfriend or whoever it might be. I'm gonna work way harder to do it than I would if I myself and I'm like, I want to go on a holiday somewhere in Dubai.
I was wondering which bit I wasn't going to agree with there.
So I'm not too sure. Like, I'm not too sure how you go about kind of like setting goals with your clients, and it like I know you have much more of a scientific backing behind it. So I don't know if you set goals based on yourself. I think yourself, like the way you kind of do your self-worth is probably different to the way I view it. So
I love that way though. It's not a selfish way of wanting money because you're actually doing it for a good purpose. Like there are people that are just greedy and they just like there are people like that, but not most people are. But people that don't have money do have that perception that people that have money they're all greedy and they're selfish and this, that, and the other, which isn't the actual truth. But your actual motives are to help the people that you care about and other people that you're so caring. The way I would look at it though, that's very good that you do that, but at the same time you should be up there on the pedestal with like your mom, your dad, your girlfriend. So like there's no like you should be up there with them because if you're not up there with them, like you can go down and then you're not going to help them in that way anyway. That makes
yeah, and that's something like it's really interesting you mentioned that. That's something I do struggle with. Like I've struggled with a lot more in the past. It's like um is that like it's like I work really hard, but then I kind of like need to take a few days to slow down and like
yeah.
stuff like that. So I think it's that kind of self-worth side of things as well, like that I've had as well, but in the past from a perspective, I need to prove my worth. The way I prove my worth is by providing for others.
Yeah. But do you feel like like every single day, do you feel like do you get to a point where you work really, really hard, your motive is there, like you can't wait to like provide for them and then all of a sudden you just hit a wall and you're like, oh my God, every weekend I need to sleep. I need to do this. I need to like get myself
Yeah.
back ready for Monday.
Yeah, certainly. I certainly have that. And I think that's something that I've probably kind of gauged my productivity based on that. So the more I can work for like a long period of time and I can stretch it. And then when like, I'm much better now than I was a few years ago with this. It's like I can kind of gauge symptoms and signs of needing to slow down before it kind of wrecks me. Like, whereas a few years I couldn't like do that and I just kept pushing on. Now I'm like, okay, I probably like, I've sat down, I've done some work. I can gauge in a like when I'm getting close to burning out, and like I can slow down at that point. So I think it's that kind of side of things as well.
What type of symptoms do you find that you start to get when you're like, okay, yeah, I'm on the verge of a burnout? Because some people don't even recognize it, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, and they're just exhausted, and then they just carry on, and then life's just dull because they're pushing through all the time. Like, what are the signs and symptoms that you find? I know I've done it before, so I know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I think the one thing for me is like it was very helpful actually pushing like really hard and like getting to that point where I was like super burnt out. And this was when I was 18, 19, like when I first burnt out, like I was like really wiped out for a while. I was wiped out for probably like 2 weeks, maybe more. Um, I think it helped kind of get into that point at that point. But I think for me, the signs now is like if I sit down and like I generally feel more foggy, like things feel more foggy, like in terms of work, like that's probably one thing. I think the other ones as well is like the tail end of that for me is like if I really like I never want to drink like usually like I've never really drink alcohol like I've probably drunken like maybe a handful of times this year, but when it gets to a point like when it's like something that I think about in the back of my head, like I'm like okay, it'd be good to have a drink, probably a sign to probably slow down for some reason. That's one of them for me. The other one is sleep as well. Like if my sleep is like if I'm generally feeling tired and like exhausted way too often, like in what can be useful is even just jotting it down, like, or just kind of making a mental note on a scale of 1 to 10. Where are you at with these 3 or 4 things? Like, where are you at with your mental clarity? Where are you at with your focus, your energy levels? If you have any kind of bad habits you're trying to stay away from, like after a while, when you're like super, super burnt out and stressed, it becomes really hard to avoid them because you have so little willpower and discipline, I find. So if you're constantly thinking about kind of drinking or going out partying or whatever your kind of bad habits are, and you really kind of start thinking about that more, that's one for me that I think, okay, like it's
Yeah.
probably because I'm like exhausted and wrecked.
because you've
Yeah.
gone back to bad habits you used to have before, so you can see yourself kind of slipping back, like, oh, like a little bit tired. So at that point, then when you are feeling like, yeah, right now I can feel it's coming on, what do you do? Do you just
Yeah, it's a good conversation that people that don't really kind of do. Like I, to be honest, like if it's like the first symptoms, like if it's like I'm kind of feeling like that, I'd probably just sleep more. Like I'd probably go for a nap or just sleep and just watch something on YouTube. Like that's a very kind of like more for me. That's the way to like for to get back to feeling like myself is just more to sleep more firstly, and then after that like you start to have more energy, more focus again. After that it'd be for me personally, you know, just going for like really long walks
mm,
um has massively helped as well, and just getting more clarity um like prayer, meditation, stuff like that for me, like a bit more kind of mental headspace has been really helpful. And then just going for walks after that point on. But people can do that in the gym, they can
yeah?
go around nature, like that kind of stuff for me done really well.
Do your family ever not complain at you, but do they get concerned with do they get concerned because you do work quite a lot, don't you? I know that you've done some hours. Like, do they get concerned with how much you do they notice your habits as well? Do they know, yeah, okay, you work quite a bit now? Do they voice their concerns to you?
Um, I think like it's a weird one. Like I think when I was first, like when I like now, I think now like maybe my girlfriend would tell me every now and then, like it's too much, and then my parents never really have. I think it's very hard for that kind of type of person, and someone that's growing up working super hard, like a physical job, for example, working as a chef, or um like where it's very physical for them to kind of see the other side of things. I think that's actually a really good conversation for business owners in general. It's like you use your mind so much, and like that's one of the most exhausting things you can do is like sit down for 6 hours and just fully focus on a task. So
Yeah,
don't compare yourself to like a construction worker, or like there's different levels of hard, and there's a difference between the physical hard and the mental hard. So I don't feel like you need to be working like 16-hour days to match like
yeah.
what someone else is doing.
It's so true though, like just being on the like it just gets strain your eyes, number one, being on the laptop for that long, and then obviously speaking to people, which it's not draining, like if it's good, but sometimes when you are actually already tired, it does drain your energy, doesn't it? And sometimes you have to really like it does pull on your energy. And then obviously it's a lot of hours to be using your mind. Your mind is the most powerful tool that you have. So if you're constantly like using it to the very, very brim, it takes its
Yeah.
toll.
Yeah, one thing that's helped me personally on that side of things is like thinking, okay, like what would like an elite level athlete, like how would he base his day, and how would he base his structure? And like it's not a position of like working 24/7. Like if you look like for if you have like a lot of fitness people here, like if you look at like I don't know, a really really elite level boxer or footballer or gymnast, like they're so meticulous with how they're resting and how much they're resting, and like doing the spas and the ice baths and stuff like that. They're just as meticulous with their rest as they are with their training, and they're not going out all out kind of doing sprints like 6 days 6 days 20 to 24 hours a day.
Yeah. But when it comes to this work, she's sitting at a laptop, it just seems easy. Oh, I'll just log on. A half an hour goes to an hour, and then it's just like, oh, I'll just do this while I finish because you're not physically doing anything. But then I don't think people actually realize you're actually using your mind. But no, that makes sense. You have a lot of friends that are in business and all of that things as well. Do you feel like a lot of people are in the same routine of burning themselves out, needing a break, burning themselves out, spending the weekend recovering before they get to
uh I I can't tell. I think some people are just naturally much better at it, and I think it's like the friends I have, the friends that are really good with downtime and that are really good with not burning out. The biggest kind of mental habit I think they have, and the biggest kind of thought process they have, in my opinion. I spend like a lot of time thinking about this for some reason. It's like they don't take nothing as personally with business. It's like if something happens, they're very stoic and they're very neutral with it. Like if something really good happens and someone pays them like a lot of money, they're very neutral with it. And if something bad happens, they stay neutral. Like
Mhm.
the people that do really, really well and like always like performing at a high level, I think that's what they have. Like that kind of mental cue of like staying very naturally balanced and stoic.
I think that comes from a confidence race, like
Yeah.
because you haven't got that like validation from your business. So like sometimes I do know a lot of business people, they see their business as them, like this is my performance. So if the business isn't doing well, it's a reflection of them, and it actually isn't. Like obviously what you get out, what you put in is what you get out, and so to say, but you don't know, anything can happen. So I think that does make sense. If you can make it neutral, like we're always going to have a bad day. Like you see,
Yeah.
I've told you some of my bad times. You like if you actually put your identity to them bad days, it's just going to bring your confidence down massively. But then on the good times as well, good times, bad times, they come all the time.
Yeah. 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 They come in like it's like the less you can pull yourself away from that, the easier it will be. Like I do believe from a business perspective and from a work perspective, so much of your unhappiness and so much of your misfortune in a way can actually come in from a place of what you think about and how you view things.
Mhm.
And it's a constant like self-development curve, I think, as well as like the constant thing of like self-actualization and working towards being the best version of yourself, where you constantly think this thing has just happened, there's this problem, like how you view it a lot of the time is kind of how you grow. And like if you let it destroy you and you let it kind of ruin your week because um someone hasn't signed up or your content hasn't performed or whatever it might be, like the more you kind of view it negatively, the more like it's just kind of how you view your power, like how if you give your power away and stuff like that, I think would be the
It's the
biggest thing.
it's the choice of what you're doing with it, isn't it? It's not about what happens to you, it's about how you handle it, so to say. So like if you let it beat you up, then it's going to turn your life upside down basically. But yeah,
Yeah.
like if you looked at your journey as a whole now, looking back from when you first came over here to being how successful you are now, like what would be your biggest is it outtakes, intakes, takes?
Yeah.
At least you
Interesting.
know. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. I don't really ever stop to look, to be honest, look back on like on stuff like that. I think the biggest outtake is to be comfortable with always like learning, I think, and like adapting and evolving. Because like my journey, I would say, has been like an evolution of like a few different kind of mindsets and beliefs and like things and habits I've had. So and obsessions, I guess, maybe is a better way to put it. Like when I was first getting into personal training and I was a gym instructor, like from that age, from like 18 onwards, I think a lot of my self-worth and a lot of my habits, if I had to put it down to one word, was like just sheer volume and sheer hard work. And like that can only take you that opens a lot of doors and moves you forward and gets you ahead, but then you hit down that ceiling of like you physically can't work any more hours or you physically can't put any more energy no matter how much you optimize things. And I think at that point when you do start hitting that ceiling, it's like, okay, I've hit that ceiling. Like, what's the next kind of evolution? Like, what's the next? What do I need to do next to kind of grow and move forward as a person? I think like that's the biggest thing I struggled with a little bit at times. It's like you can work really hard, but if you're working the wrong things, you can only grow so much. So I think it's like one of the best things anyone can do is just look at like if you keep doing what you do now from 3 years time, 4 years time, would you be where you want to be, or are you in the right vehicle to get there? And if you're not, you probably do need to change something somewhere or
Mhm.
start to slowly evolve and pivot.
Yeah, makes sense. So the biggest thing for you is just literally, I think, listening to what you've said as well. I think I can see like how you found yourself when you went away. I think because you was trying to be something that you wasn't, and then you went away. Now you've come back and you just doing how you know, which is you. I think that's amazing. And the
Yeah.
fact that you chose to do that because you came over here not knowing any language, and then you moved to a country by yourself, not knowing the language again, so you redid what you did before and had to relearn again.
Yeah. Yeah, like I did that, and I didn't, like, to be honest, I didn't like ever really learn much Romanian. I could kind of like say like I could get away with like ordering a coffee, you know, so that's as much as I could do, like hello, how are you, like that kind of stuff. Thank you. But I think one of the best things anyone can do, especially if they've got the, I think you can make the opportunity, but I did that kind of traveling, and that helped me a lot, like person from a self-development aspect. Like I did um 8 9 months in Romania, and then I did like I did quite a few countries around that time. I did Romania, I did Turkey, Istanbul, and then I did like a really long kind of journey, which was like Thailand and Malaysia, which was like completely in the middle of like way out of, like, Romania was a bit of an easy one, to be honest, in hindsight, because it was so close to Bulgaria, it was so close to like the culture and the stuff, the way of like life, I guess, to an extent. It was probably like a 6 hour drive. If things ever got really hard, I think I always knew it was like 6 hours away with a bus, or I could find a way to get to Bulgaria. Whereas like Thailand and Malaysia was just very, like, very different, and so far out. And I think it just gives you that thing of like responsibility of like being being your true self, and like actually having to level up, because there's no one that it did two things for me personally. Like it did that, like it got me to be responsible, but it also made me realize like nothing's as serious as you make it out to be. Like paying somewhere to finding somewhere to sleep, you can sleep in a shared accommodation somewhere, like just have one room and just have like some food, and you'd be fine. So like it's not as hard as you make it out to be, to survive and actually do well. And it removed so much. Like then I saw my parents doing well without kind of me needing to be there and needing to provide for them, and my brother was doing well. Like the world kept going, and I think that removed so much kind of pressure of me needing to look after everyone as well.
It's so true. But it's as deep as you make it. I always say, like, you get to choose how deep you make it. And the fact that you've just said that the world spins, whether it's true though, like what you do right now, what I do right now, does not provide the oxygen to the whole world. So nothing is actually really that deep. Do you know when you see people really, really stressing? Obviously, we do all go through the stressful parts, and like it is hard sometimes. But then when you just sit back, like, is it really that deep? Like I've had some, I think I've spoke to you when I've been stressed before, and then a day later I'm like, is it actually that deep, Louise? And then I've kicked myself out of it, and I'm just like, I don't actually supply the oxygen to the whole of the world. Like if I don't do this, or if I don't do this, or if this doesn't go well, the world will carry on spinning. Everyone will still be alive. Like it's not actually that deep, is it?
No, not at all. And it's like you can destroy yourself in the process. Like
Yeah.
for like you can destroy yourself trying to provide for everyone else. But like if people truly like love you, like I fell into this a lot with my parents for some reason. Like I was like, I need to make sure they're fine, and like make sure they're fine, and they can like stop work early if they need to and stuff like that. And I had like this conversation with my dad maybe a year ago, and he was like, what would I do with my life if I stopped working? Like I don't really want to go back. I'm still young, I still want to keep working, still want to stay here, make sure your brother's fine, and like stuff like that. And then also like it's as deep as you make it. Like the people you love, but like 99% of the time, I imagine the people you love wouldn't want to see you destroyed in the process of trying to make sure they're good. So it's like,
Yeah. And if they do want to see you suffer and destroy yourself, do they actually really love you? Because I know for a fact I wouldn't want somebody that I
yeah.
care about to like do that. But no, very, very good point. What is next for you then? Like, what are your big plans? Have you got anything exciting coming? Like, you've learned so much about yourself and you're helping so many other people. Where do you see, like, you've got so much confidence in like yourself and your business now. What are your plans?
I think for me the plans are pretty similar as always. It's like now I've traveled like a fair bit. I've I think for me the next 5 years or so, I see it being spent here. To be honest, being spent. I'm currently in Bulgaria, so I feel like I'm see it being spending probably the next 5 years here, just being in a very kind of routine and just working a lot. And I think for me, like work used to be very much about kind of just money and just getting myself out of a messy situation. Now it's just more helping others and just providing. And like realistically, I could probably not work for a year and be fine, like in the nicest way possible. But I think for me, it's like I'm very happy like working. It gives me a lot of fulfillment, like deep fulfillment. It gives me a lot of creativity, a lot of um it's play. A lot of the stuff I do, like it for me is like play. It's very creative. It's very much thinking and building stuff. And like I've always enjoyed that from my childhood. So I think for me, it's like it's doing that and pushing on from that perspective. Um, in terms of the goals moving forward, is just to keep doing what I'm doing and just keep like helping and empowering more people to kind of have like the tools I wish I had when I was like 18, 19, 20, just so they can kind of make and help more people using like the internet, using social media and content, and just kind of get to more safety, more stability, because then you can travel the world, you can really self-actualize. I think that's so powerful. And I think there's so many good like coaches, there's so many good creators that are very much like trapped in a sense of like I can only work with people that are local to me, or I can only do this, I can't really move that forward. Whereas like if you just share your story and you have the tools and the right perspective to do that, you can do so much.
Exactly. It's so inspirational. How can people reach out to you? So obviously, like coaches, you help predominantly coaches, don't you? Build their business now, don't you? So how would people reach out to you?
Yeah, if people want to reach out, like the best way is Instagram. So like just my Instagram is just my name, so it's Plamen Slavov one. On Instagram would be the best way to find me, and then on there like you can see YouTube. Like I'll be posting like 30 days worth of YouTube for the next 30 days, so like I'm doing that.
Oh, that's
It's like I'm on day two, so it's very early days. So when people watch this podcast, there should hopefully be more YouTube. um and yeah, that'll be the biggest way to find me.
That's exciting though. Like obviously I'm starting to put these on YouTube now and I've never done it before. I put a few things on YouTube, but it's always been privately for people that like, but I've not, these are going to
Yeah.
be the first ones. So hopefully they'll all match up. But no, thank you so, so much for coming on. It's been such a pleasure to have you. You have so inspirational, like how you've come from here to here is absolutely great. But no, anything else you want to add?
No, that's the biggest thing. So thank you so much for having me on. It's a blast. It flew by.
You're more than welcome. Thank you again. And we will go on to the next one.